It is safe to say 28 Years Later is a good movie. Thank goodness. What's up, you guys? It's Jonathan Carter, and today we are talking about one of my most highly anticipated, probably most highly anticipated movies of 2025. 28 Years Later. For those of you that don't know, 28 Days Later, the first movie in this trilogy of films, is my second favorite movie of all time, right behind The Shining, and maybe could even be my top favorite movie of all time. I truly enjoy every single aspect of that movie. Yes, even though it doesn't even look that great, like I something about that movie, I just truly, so many things about that movie I truly love. And so when 28 Years Later was announced just a couple years ago, the big news with Danny Boyle and Alex Garland coming back as writer-director duo from 28 Days Later, I was absolutely hooked and on board with it, but I was also naturally a little hesitant on it because, again, 28 Days Later is such a beloved movie for me. Like, I truly love that film, and I was just naturally a little scared that this movie wasn't going to live up to my insane expectations that built off of 28 Days Later. Now, with that, 28 Weeks Later was not the sequel in between these. They're skipping over 28 Months Later because it's literally been like 23 years since 28 Days Later. 28 Weeks Later was not written by Alex Garland, and it was not directed by Danny Boyle. Danny Boyle did direct the opening of 28 Weeks Later, which is like the best part of that movie. But 28 Weeks Later for me, like a lot of other people, was incredibly disappointing. So coming off of 28 Weeks Later so many years later, I think everybody, like including myself, was really hopeful that this movie was going to be phenomenal. And when that first trailer came out and had that poem going, that war poem, and all those cinematography, like different shots, I think everybody on the internet that saw that trailer was absolutely hooked. Now, that being said, if you have seen 28 Years Later, please be sure to put all your thoughts in the comments below on the movie. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Also, please be sure to like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's jump into the review. So it's no secret, like I said right at the beginning of this review, I absolutely adored and loved 28 Years Later. The plot of the movie follows a group of people that have sectioned themselves off on this little island right outside of mainland Britain. This island is basically infection-free. They have this really great military kind of security system set up with gates and everything guarding this island. There's also only one pathway from the island to mainland Britain, and that is a pathway that crosses over through the ocean, and when high tide comes in, that pathway gets blocked, that you can't access it because it is submerged in water. So simultaneously, that's a really smart place to kind of section yourself off in this raging zombie virus apocalypse, and it's also a very interesting plot for a zombie film. Now, 28 Years Later focuses on a family, a mother, a father, and a son, and it is basically a coming of age, like, right path of ritual is for this son, our main character here, who is played perfectly so well by Alfie Williams. He is this 12-year-old kid who, as a, like I said, rite of passage, coming of age, has to venture to the mainland, has never seen anything outside of this island in his life, has never seen the infected, never seen the bigger world, anything like that. He has to go out with his dad as to become this man, and with that, obviously a lot of things go wrong, but this is pretty much the beginning of the film. And so when the dad and the son, Spike, and the dad played by very well by Aaron Taylor Johnson, one of my favorite actors, go out and venture into mainland Britain, we get our first look at what the Rage virus has done 28 years on in this universe. And this Rage virus, they're not technically zombies. I know that it did come from chimpanzees in 28 Days Later, and it just basically makes people incredibly angry. And 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later, we saw kind of the same type of zombies. In 28 Weeks Later, they did start to evolve a little bit, and in 28 Years Later, Alex Garland and Danny Boyle take that idea of these zombies evolving, and they really, really run with it. I have never seen such unhinged imagery in a movie before. So you do have your classic raging, infected, like fast running, absolutely terrifying zombies, and you also have these new zombies called alphas who work just like, other animals, wolves, things like that, where they hunt in packs now, and the alpha is the leader. They tell the zombies when to, or the other infected, when to attack, when to hold back, how to attack, everything like that. And these alphas, you get a couple of them in the movie, absolutely unhinged nightmare fuel. They are these jacked people, these jacked men who actually, literally all of these zombies, because it's been 28 years, have their clothes have just like deteriorated away. The zombies are fully naked in this movie, you guys, and there are like 6'7" men, whatever, zombie infected alphas running around just fully in the nude, these jacked, terrifying infected. And just that idea, even without getting into like other evolved zombies, is done so incredibly well. Like, truly, this movie is like on the edge of your seat, terrifying. And the alphas in this movie do things to people that I am not at liberty to show on YouTube. With that, we also get new zombies called Slow-Los, I believe, that sound just like that. They slowly move, and they're quiet, they can sneak up on you, and they're just these really unsettling zombies that really are just so incredibly weird, and I don't think anybody else writing would like go this far in a zombie movie, like out of left field, to create these just like such odd zombies. And that is why I love Alex Garland and Danny Boyle working together, because we get things like this. The other plot of this movie, the main plot, is Spike's mother, played fantastically by Jodie Comer, which I'm just going to say here, everybody in this movie, supporting cast, main cast, whatever, are all doing a phenomenal job. Jodie Comer's character, Ilsa, is sick. You don't know what she's sick with, but it's very evident that she is unwell. And during the adventure that Spike and his dad go on, his father tells him that there is a doctor in the mainland that lives not far off, who is kind of like thrown out of the village for being crazy. So Spike gets wind that there is a doctor who he thinks can cure his mom of whatever sickness she has. So Spike takes his mother and sneaks out of the village with her, and then you get your second trip in this movie of going through mainland Britain with these infected zombies. Now, when the story switches to that second act in the movie, it becomes much less of these terrifying zombies and much more an emotional, heartfelt story about love, connection, family, and a very meaningful and powerful message on death. Now, if you haven't seen 28 Days Later, that might come as a surprise to you, but for me, one of the reasons I love 28 Days Later is it's not just about zombies, it's about human connections and people, and that is what 28 Years Later thrives off of. That was sorely lacking in 28 Weeks Later, which I will remind you was not directed by Danny Boyle or written by Alex Garland. So those themes were very much missing in that movie. But I will say this isn't a negative for the movie for me, but when 28 Years Later made a clear shift in its narrative, going from these crazy zombie action scenes to a more emotionally driven story, there were people around me in the theater, like person sitting beside me and the people in front of me, that immediately drifted to their phone screens. Like, it lost a lot of people in the theater that were just coming in for this like zombie carnage, which you definitely do get in this movie, but that's not what this movie is about. And so, to each their own. If that disappoints you as for a zombie movie, that makes total sense, but just a heads up, knowing that going in, for me, that does not detract from the movie. It actually builds how incredible this movie is. For those of you that don't know, 28 Years Later is the first installment of a 3-movie trilogy that has been planned out already, with the second movie, 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, coming out this January, which was written by Alex Garland, but actually this time directed by Nia DaCosta, who directed the latest Candyman movie and The Marvels. And that movie has already been filmed and written and all that. They filmed these first two back to back. That one comes out in January of 2026, and then the last movie in this trilogy will come out however later on, which will still be written by Alex Garland and then directed again by Danny Boyle. And that one is confirmed to have Cillian Murphy in it. I don't know if that's really a spoiler. It's been confirmed and put out there. Oh, and little side note on Cillian Murphy, he did produce this movie. So the reason I'm explaining right here that this movie is a 3-part story, once Spike and his mother find the doctor, everything, you can tell that this is very much going to be a very massive story that's not going to take place over just one movie. When they meet the doctor, yes, you do get more zombie carnage of their traveling to the doctor, but you get this very, very beautiful message on life, how precious it is, death, and that death is just a continuation and not necessarily an end point for somebody. And with that message in these scenes with Spike and his mother and the doctor and all of that played so well, again, I'm mentioning this by Ralph Fiennes, who played Voldemort, all of that. He is just on a great run right now in his movies. I fully cried in the theater, like, watching this movie, and I mean, not like a couple tears, no, I mean, like, weeping, because, and I wasn't expecting that to do, I haven't cried watching 28 Days Later before, and I cried watching 28 Years Later just from how astounding and beautiful and meaningful this message was on life and death that I was not expecting to see in a zombie movie where zombies are ripping other people's heads off and running around in the nude. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here, there are a couple story retcons coming from 28 Weeks Later, so this will be a little bit of a spoiler section if you haven't seen the movie yet. I'm also going to talk about the end of the film a little bit, so I'm going to put spoilers here. Skip to this section if you don't want to hear any of this. I'll put the timestamp right here. So, at the beginning of this movie, it is said that the Rage virus has been pushed back from Europe and just contained to mainland Britain, which means the ending of 28 Weeks Later, yes, is retconned, where you see, like, the Eiffel Tower and the zombies running to it and everything. All of that, Alex Garland and Danny Boyle just said, let's pretend that was just contained, and we will never talk about it again. Also, from that movie that is not spoken on here, if you are wondering, there is no talk of a cure. They really did. They introduced that element a little bit in 28 Weeks Later with the eyes of the kid and the mom and all of that. Not talked about here at all. Not a single time. And let's talk about this ending. Yes, this is very much a part one of a 3-part movie, and as you get the introduction of Jimmy, not to be confused with Jim from 28 Days Later, whole new character here, I don't know why they did that, you get some whacked out, like, Power Rangers imagery here of, like, this new squad or whoever killing all these zombies in really weird ways, front flips, somersaults, tying zombies up, things like that. And it definitely, the ending didn't take me out of the movie. I fully loved it. Like, I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. I'm totally here for it. But it does feel very disconnected from the rest of 28 Years Later. And I have seen a lot of talk online or reviews or even people in the theater afterwards, like, talking about the movie, that they did not like the ending. Like, my fiance really didn't like the ending of the movie but loved the rest of the movie. So the ending really seems to be hit or miss for a lot of people. I'm in the camp. I really loved it. Let me know your thoughts on the ending in the comments. So the verdict on this one, I absolutely loved 28 Years Later. It was such a great follow-up for 28 Days Later, kind of skipping over 28 Weeks Later. Beautiful message, beautiful cinematography, some amazing sweeping shots of this, like, nature-filled land that our main characters are walking through, exploring. Incredibly terrifying moments with infected, get them running through the forest, things like that, a new type of infected, like so many different versions of the infected that I truly was just all on board for. Everything with this movie, it is fantastically shot, amazingly written, and just amazingly acted by all actors, supporting actors, main cast, everything. I truly loved so much about this movie, and I was not expecting to. I was hoping to love it this much, and I just am glad that I really did love it this much. So, all that being said, I'm going to give 28 Years Later a 9 out of 10, and on a see it, stream it, or skip it, see it. Go see it, you guys. Thank you all so much for watching my video. If you are interested in more 28 days or 28 years later content, I did do a review on 28 days later. I'll put that right here. I'm also going to do a review on 28 weeks later, right before the sequel to 28 years later comes out. Please be sure to like and subscribe, you guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I will see you guys on the next one.